Hey everyone, this is FixReef, and today we have a third generation Radion XR30 Pro that came in with this interesting sticker on it. It says this part is water damaged and cannot be used. The part has been disabled for safety reasons. It came from one of the fellow reefers, who I believe sent it to Radion facility for repair. Got it back, was told that there is a damage with the main board. There are no parts for the main board to replace it. They don't have main boards to replace it with. And they gave him a very small discount towards a very expensive new version of the light. So he asked me if I could have it repaired without him spending another $800 on a brand new light. So let's open it up and see what we have. Okay, so far it looks like the fan's been disconnected, or not reconnected, I should say. Looks like a small piece of plastic broke off. The power is connected, and I do not see a whole lot of other things potentially wrong with it. Let's reconnect the fan, power it up, and see what we get. What really concerns me here is that they said that the part's been disabled. So I certainly hope that there is not a change in the firmware on this unit. Let's just hope that it works. Okay, so we plug it in. It lights up pretty bright. Then you can hear a rattling noise inside until it's disconnected, and it shuts off. Okay, so they claim that it's water damaged. I do not immediately see any water damage to it. Radion likes to call units water damaged when there is salt creep that comes in, accumulates inside, and causes issues. Oh, interesting, there's a fan that's blown as well. So the fan's broken. But all right. So yeah, so there is as the fan, pumps the air, the moist air with salt creep in it throughout. Just moisture ends up all over the board, and it doesn't mean that it went swimming. It just was exposed to the air with high content of moisture. Anyway, let's open this up. From the looks of it, the LED modules seem to be okay. In fact, when it briefly came online, we could see that all of the lights on the LED modules come on and stay on for a brief moment. So it's likely not the LED pucks. So we're going to remove the LED modules for now. Nice healthy amount of thermal grease. There is a screw missing over here as well. I hope that's not how Ecotech returns lights after repair. With the Gen 3 being only 6 channels, you see that the main board is much shorter than those of Gen 4, primarily because there are only 6 channels here as opposed to 8. The board itself does not look bad at all. Just without looking at it through the microscope, I am not seeing any problems, any salt creep, any water damage, any kind of issues. So there is a little bit of corrosion on the battery. But that is not anything to worry about. I have seen much worse. Otherwise, this board is in a very, very, very good shape. Impressive. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to connect it to my test harness, plug it into the lab power supply, and make sure that we actually have a working board that consumes proper amount of power. Okay, you can hear the clicks. Very small amount of power consumption, so it's not entirely dead, and I shouldn't be expecting it to be entirely dead, because after all, it lights up both of the modules. Now I'm going to attempt to plug it in with just the modules connected, nothing else, briefly to make sure that we get to the state where it does shut off, at which point I can start the diagnostics. Okay, power on. And it quickly shuts off because it doesn't get enough power. Now back to the main board. I'm going to look at it under the microscope. This side of the board is very, very, very clean. But then again, there is not much going on that side of the board. Let's take a look here. See how nice and clean the USB port is? For a Gen 3 light that's been hanging over a tank, having a USB exposed USB port that this almost brand new condition is unheard of. This battery is so far in the roughest shape. It's almost like it was replaced at some point, as I see flux around it. But it's definitely in a very, very rough shape. Yeah, so this board is in almost perfect condition, aside from the battery. Looks like it oxidized. Okay, so we'll start the repair with this LED module. On this LED module, again, we have both indigo UV LEDs not working, and the white LED not working as well. So I think this is a warm white. So all of this will have to be replaced. So we'll start with just removing the LEDs. A little bit of flux, not a whole lot. I don't want to clean up too much. All right, I'm going to take it to my reflow. And on this module, it's a violet. Wrong violet. This is indigo. So it's a violet, and it's the white as well. The first one is back from the reflow. Let's clean it up. Okay, so first get rid of all of the old unleaded solder. Great, now it's time to clean up and remove some of the old used up flux. Now I'm gonna add some leaded solder. Not a whole lot, just enough to hold the LED. This is probably a little too much, but that's okay, it's gonna get pushed out. Perfect. Now, while I'm still under the microscope, I'm gonna add some flux. And that's good. For this, we're gonna need 2 of the indigo type LEDs. And 1 white. So on the white, the plus is on the left. So we'll just need to make sure that the LED has the left positive side. It would help if I had my multimeter on. Okay, so it looks like positive is where the notch is. So it's going to go on like that. And for the UV, positive is at the bottom. For the left one anyway. Okay. One more test. That looks good. Flip it over. Yeah. Let's test through the top. Looks good. And for the right one, the positive is actually on the top. So we're gonna flip it around. And this is it. Okay. Back to the reflow. So while this one is in the first one is in reflow, let's clean up the second one. Now let's go shopping for some parts. So again, we need, looks like we need 1 violet, and we need 1 white. Okay. Okay, that's good enough. This should be ready for reflow. Okay, so while the second one is in reflow, the first one is all done and cooled off. It's time to clean it up. And do some testing. Okay, there is still a little bit of alcohol everywhere, but it's gonna be all right. All right, let's just test this. This is on. How about this? This one is on as well. And last but not least, the white one. There's still a little bit of flux there, so the connectors are not going through, but the white is also on. Excellent. So this module is now done. Now the second one. There are only two LEDs that we replaced here. And testing. So let's start with the white. Working perfectly. And the indigo. Or I guess it's the violet. And while we're at it, we're going to test the indigo once again because, yeah, that's working. Let me clean up a little bit more of the cooled off flux here. Okay. All right, so now both modules should be working properly. Let's see if this is enough to fix this light. Something tells me that it's not going to be enough, but we'll find out. Just a very much a bare bone setup, power, main board, and two LEDs, LED modules. I am not going to provide it with a whole lot of current because I'm still worried that there is a problem, and I don't want to be burning out brand new LEDs. So first I'm giving it less than an amp of current. Let's plug it in and see if we can go into overcurrent. That's much better. Okay. I think we're going into the overload. Yeah, we're definitely going to overload because we are resetting every few seconds. Let me increase current. We'll see if that is going to help a little. Let's try it again. And it's consuming 4 amps of current and getting really, really bright. I think that this light has the potential to work. Let's unplug the power. Let's unplug both LED modules. And I'm going to assemble this light so that I don't damage the LED modules at high current and see if this actually is the complete fix. Quite a bit of old thermal paste on here. You can tell that it's all very viscous, not crumbling, but very viscous, very difficult to get off. I'm feeling positive about this light, so I'm just going to go ahead and apply fresh new paste. Okay, so the fan is broken, and the customer asked me to replace the fan as well on this. at an additional charge, but I'm still going to go ahead and plug it in just to provide me for some basic cooling during testing, and we'll see what we get. For now, I'm still going to connect it to my bench power supply instead of the original, and let's go. I will increase current to the maximum. Let's dance. Hold on, the fan is not working properly, so I'm just going to disconnect it before I burn the circuit. Again, it's lead and it's stain lead, consuming just over 4 amp of current, and it's staying stable. Okay, let's replace the fan. This is the last thing that we'll need to do to this light. The fan is sealed and it's got some, I'm sure, some corrosion over on, not corrosion, but the salt on one side. So this is the original Gen 3 fan. So what I usually get for my fan replacements is, essentially brand new fans, but different brand, better quality. The only difference is that these don't have regular fan connectors. So I have to add the connector to them, which is usually fine because when the original fan fails, there is nothing wrong with the connector. The connector is perfectly fine. So we can just go ahead and add the connector to this new fan, and it should work like new. They both have about the same length wiring, exact same in fact. So it's just a matter of adding the connector. To give it a professional look and feel, I'm going to use shrink tubing to isolate everything. Of course, I absolutely have to solder it together. Nice and solid. And this is it, as good as new. The last thing is to put the original sealing rubber back on. This just comes off. It's fairly easily. Of course, if you're not careful, you're going to rip it, but let's try to be careful. Okay. Since this is the right size and everything, it should just fit. and provide the same level of insulation. And it will get nice and snuggly once we put it inside the unit. There is nothing else that we need from this old fan now. This is looking real good. All right, let's put it back in the original housing. It's going to be real tight going in, but that's a good thing because that way the rubber seal is going to work and it's going to protect this new fan. Okay, now let's plug it in and do one last test. Actually, the very last test is going to be with the original RF module. I just want to make sure that everything works together. Okay, let's power it up. It's probably too bright for you to see, but let's try this. The fan is definitely spinning. The light is on. Everything is good. Let's finish the assembly. This should get us the fan nice and seated nice and tightly. I will start just by pressing all of the screws a little bit at a time. This will press the fan in with the seal. You can feel and probably see how it's slowly going in. Perfect. The faceplate's not bulging. It means that the fan is fully inside the enclosure. The last 4 screws. Okay, the light's assembled. I'm going to do one last test with the original cord. I can hear the fan. You can probably see the fan now. The light is working and everything is good. The summary. Well, where to begin? This is the biggest mystery of this repair. Once again, just as a reminder, this light came in from a reefer who sent this light to Ecotech for repair. He was told that it was water damaged and they do not have parts to repair it anymore. They offered him a minuscule discount to buy a brand new light, essentially a tiny amount, and return the light. The reefer had to pay shipping, obviously, to send it to them, just to get it back in the original state. And it looks like it's completely repairable and is now fully repaired. You saw it with your own eyes. There was absolutely no water damage on the side of this unit. In fact, the main board is probably in the best condition among all the boards for this generation Radeon that I've ever seen and worked on. Typically, there is corrosion somewhere, wherever it is. There's going to be corrosion on where the MOSFETs are because they run quite a bit of current through them. There was nothing. Most of the problems were with burned out LEDs throughout, and the fan was all burned or broken up. I can't find words to explain this sticker, and it's going to be up to the customer. It's going to be up to the customer if they want to remove it, but they can now use this light with no restrictions. It's perfectly working and it's now fixed. This completes the repair. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.